me. Maybe you'll get an hour out of me. Maybe you won't. Maybe we'll open up the phone lines for some telephone calls. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see. Today was a long day, guys. I literally just got back from a candidate forum they had in Woodland Park, Colorado. If you don't know, I'm running for city council in Woodland Park. And so I left the court, drove straight up. The candidate forum began at 5:30 and literally just finished at 8:30. So I just inhaled some food, said hello to my wife, said hello to my little girl, and was going to come on and give y'all an update. So you're not probably going to get more than an hour out of me, but I'm just letting you know that. There was nobody from T's family there supporting her, at least that nobody from nobody that was in front of us. So that's, if you watch the courtroom, but there's a lot I can talk about. And we may even replay some things, and I'll point some things out here, maybe. There was nobody in front of me. I was on the second row. In front of me, where there was an empty front row, and then Letecia was 10 feet she was 10 feet in front of me, but she was behind one of my old buddies, comrades, the guard who was guarding Letecia. You guys saw him all on the television screen. He's a longtime friend of mine. And I remember when he went into working for the sheriff's department down first in Pueblo. I didn't know he was up here in El Paso County. And then when I watched the video today, I was like, oh my God, that's I'm not going to say his name. I ain't going to call him out. But for me, even my wife, right when I walked in, that was one of the first things she said. She was like, I texted his wife. He looked like he was going to bust her. I was like, I know. He could have busted her. So anyway, crazy day today, all the way around. Let's talk about a few things that happened at court. Main thing that happened is we have another court date. That will be April 14th at 3:30 or 3 o'clock. It will be a status hearing. So what was supposed to be coming up would have been like pre-hearing, pre-trial stuff, motions hearing. What a status hearing is actually just extra. It's just an extra hearing. Are you ready? Are you ready to go to pretrial? Are you ready to go to motions? All of that stuff. So it was just an extra hearing. It looked like you were sitting next to Spencer. I was. Spencer's phone went off during the freaking court. I was like, dude, you freaking amateur, turn your phone off. It was his other phone. He was tweeting with one, and he had another phone that went off like an amateur. I'm at a lot of fun. Like, a lot of people were there. There was quite a few people that were either watched Dad with the phone, or I walked up and those people were like, oh, it's Dad with the phone. Said hellos, took some selfies with some people. The guy is the hero of the day. Who's the guy? The guard? Because I gotta go back and watch, because I haven't watched. I need to pull up Letecia Stauch's court appearance. Because I didn't actually watch the video. I was there. So I want to watch it because that's my boy, man. That's what's so fun is, for me, that's my boy in court. So yeah, let's pull up this hearing here. That's my boy. Oh God, that's great. He was mad dogging him. Let me see if I got, here's KOA's view. Let me see KOA's view, because I don't think they stickered it. Oh, did they sticker it? That's the Denver Post. Did they tag this whole thing? No. Okay, they didn't tag the whole thing. So we're going to watch this together because we can. And I didn't watch it from this side. I know many of you have watched it. I actually haven't watched it from this side, so this gives me a little bit better view of her.
Gratiana.
She didn't look good at all.
Captain Strobel and Kimberly Chalmers on behalf of
She didn't look good at all. I cannot believe he was the guard. That is so fun.
And entry of appearance of counsel. But before we start, I want to remind everyone that video or audio recording is prohibited. There is a poll camera that will provide footage to the media. I understand this is a digital age.
I got to text my boy.
And I know that some reporters use their electronic devices to take notes, blog a tweet, those kinds of things. You can use them to do that, so long as it does not.
The blonde lady was there to sit in front of Letecia for sure. The blonde lady was for sure there to sit in front of Letecia.
Anything like that. That person will be required to leave immediately, and it may be that electronic devices will be prohibited at future proceedings. The court also understands that this is an emotional case for a lot of people.
Somebody said he was wearing a Gannon Strong bracelet.
Involving a charge of first-degree murder are. The judges in this district handle a number of first-degree murder cases all the time. This case is governed by the same rules of law and evidence of procedure that apply to all of those cases. In addition, please remember that audible comments and emotional displays or outbursts are strictly prohibited. If at any time during the proceedings you feel that at the onset of an emotional reaction that may violate the court's order, please quietly and discreetly exit the courtroom. There is no in and out. Once you leave, for whatever reason, you will not be.
So most of this stuff is pretty standard in the courtroom. Right now, I just muted so that I can talk to you guys.
We earlier today filed the formal charges to the court system, and I'm handing a paper copy to the defense team now.
The formal charges were filed.
It was earlier this morning, Judge. I can advise the court of what those charges are if you like.
Yes, because it hasn't made it out of the clerk's office yet. So when you file it downstairs electronically, it takes roughly about a day or so for it to get to us.
She didn't look good there. I can't wait till he can actually talk to me about it. I'm going to get him on. I'm going to get him on. If he gets on anybody's podcast, I'm getting him on mine.
Your Honor, we have advised Ms. Stauch. Sorry.
I don't know if he can, but if he can, I'm going to get some info from him.
Okay. All right. And
Who's that bald dude in the front row? Sitting right there between the media.
in this case, because of count one, first-degree murder, this would proceed. There's some water over there.
I have some water.
She was coughing up a storm.
This case would normally proceed with proof evidence presumption rate hearing. Is that what you want to set at this point in time?
Judge, we're actually asking for a review hearing to be set in 21 to
Yeah,
30 days.
107 plus. That's an estimate.
Unlikely that we'll receive any discovery in this case until 21 days from now.
She looks rough. She ain't been sleeping good.
We are not in a position where we can set the case for preliminary hearing.
She had orange Crocs on.
We also don't have access to the arrest warrant affidavit.
I'm going to deal with that in a moment.
Right, and so we have no idea, we are not in a position where we
No.
can tell the judge.
And I know that. I know that you don't have the PC affidavit. What's going on with this?
Judge, this case spanned the investigative portion of this case. It still actually is ongoing to one degree, but it spanned roughly 5 weeks before the arrest affidavit was given to a judge.
I have seen the PC affidavit.
Yes. And so the discovery in this case is very voluminous. We're over 1,000 pages already, based on what I've been told from the sheriff's office and the FBI. There is tons of video evidence, electronic data from
Stop.
cell
Oh,
phones and that
stop.
kind of thing.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. What did we tell you guys? We told you that there would be tons of video evidence in this case. He just said it. There's tons of video evidence in this case. They're not going to talk about what videos, tons of it. When a man says there's tons, you can't even weigh video, but he just said there's tons of it, which means there's hours of it. It actually should be in a time frame. There's hours of video evidence footage, thousands of pages of discovery. So there, it is going to take some time. I heard they just canceled that's a whole nother thing, but I don't want to talk about it right now. But lots of video evidence. So we're going to see that. What'll be interesting is what they release in discovery and what they don't release. Lots of video evidence. The courtroom was packed today. The decorum order was lenient, and I'm telling you, I don't expect the decorum order to stay this lenient, but we'll see. I'm gonna keep running video.
We are working, they're working on it now, and we have advised them of what that 21 days looks like as far as when we need to turn over discovery to defense. I just know that because of just the sheer volume of this, I don't even have reports yet.
Do I think she's doped up? No, I don't think she's doped up.
Okay. And before we get too far down that road, there's a couple of things that I need to deal with. First of all, Ms. I'm going to direct these to Ms. Strobel and Ms. Chalmers.
I'm good, Judge. I can answer your question.
Ms. Strobel, I know that there are search warrants. I've had cases in the past where sometimes they want search warrants.
Courtroom was packed. Not everybody made it in.
We want copies of the warrants? Is that the court's question?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Before the presumption.
Yes, Judge.
As you know, or actually as counsel may not know, because a lot of them don't, those search warrants are not filed in the electronic file for this proceeding.
Judge, the last number that I heard was over 107 search warrants in this case. Yes.
107.
107. I think that number is greater than that number, though, just based on, that was last week sometime that I heard that.
Were they all issued locally by a judge locally?
No, there were some search warrants issued in South Carolina as well.
Okay, so 1000 of those.
And all of those were done with motions to seal as well.
Okay.
Except for South Carolina, that does not have the sealing process that we have locally.
Okay.
No, 107 search warrants, ranging from video surveillance search warrants to electronic search warrants for probably social media, resident search warrants. There's search warrants out of South Carolina. At this moment, every search warrant is sealed, to my knowledge, except the ones in South Carolina. They said they're not allowed to seal the ones in South Carolina, but I haven't seen those surface yet. The police affidavit is still sealed, but it has been delivered to the prosecution. 107 search warrants. What happened to my, oh crap, I gotta pull it back up now. Shoot, I just kicked off my my video. Let me pull it back up. No big deal. We'll get that sucker pulled right back up here. You're not missing anything. Don't worry. If you can't watch this, you can go straight to YouTube and watch this if you want. You don't even have to watch it with me.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you very much.
I just freaking zoomed past it all.
You're not in a position.
The sheer volume of this, I don't even have reports yet.
Lots of people there to support. I didn't see any Letecia family. That doesn't mean they weren't there. I just didn't see them.
Before we get too far down that road, there's a couple of things that I need to deal with. First of all,
dude, I can tell you all about that guard. He's only been a cop 5 years, maybe.
Ms. Strobel, I know that there are search warrants. I've had cases in the past where sometimes they want the search warrant before the proof evidence presumption break, sometimes they don't. What are you going to do?
We want copies of the warrants, is that the court's question?
Yes,
Yes, we do.
before the proof evidence presumption
Yes,
break.
Judge.
As you know, or actually as counsel may not know, because a lot of them don't, those search warrants are not filed in the electronic file for this proceeding. How many warrants are we talking about?
Judge, the last number that I heard was over 107 search warrants in this case. Yes, there was.
107 search warrants.
I think that number is greater than that number, though.
Greater.
That was last week sometime I heard that.
Were they all issued locally by a judge?
No, there were some search warrants issued in South Carolina as well.
Okay, so I did not read those.
And all of those were done with motions to seal as well. Except for South Carolina, that does not have the sealing process that we have locally.
So South Carolina doesn't have the seal process. So there is a chance we should be able to get those South Carolina search warrants if the media files for those. Yeah, all the streams. They only had one camera in the courtroom, and then they streamed it out to breakout boxes, and everyone else just streamed them. Yeah, that's what people are saying, is that the guard that was with Letecia is wearing a Gannon Strong bracelet. I personally know that guard. I've known him for over 10 years. I used to go, I took him, the best video I got is, I mean, I've smoked cigars with that dude. We've had parties at the house. I'm just pumped that that's their, he's a great guy. Like, he's the number one, probably one of the better cops in the world, in my opinion. So the fact that he got to guard Tecia kind of makes me happy.
Some idea about what the investigation is, what it is they may need to have at some point in the future.
I would drop his name right now, but I'm gonna keep his name. If they zoom into his name, I'll drop his name, but I don't think they've zoomed into his name.
If they could email it to us, we would get it directly.
Oh, that guy right there, I've had lots and lots of, I could tell you, it's a good thing. He's mad dogging, dude. When that dude mad dogged you too, he was mad dogging me a couple of times but I didn't realize who he was. I was looking at this other guard. The other guard was mad dogging me. I don't know if he recognized me because he was focused. It's obviously his job right now is to focus on her. If she flinches, if she does something, his whole job is to focus on her. So he's there watching Letecia. He'll break her off if she tried something. Gosh, made me. I was more excited about seeing that than seeing her. Just seeing him be the one to guard her, so it's fun. He used to live up. They used to live up here, and was very active at a facility up here before he was a cop. He worked with adolescent kids.
Is there any way we could do the week before that? I'm supposed to start a homicide trial in Division 8 on April 13th. Or I could do, I know we're taking the docket day off for that trial for April 14th, if you could do that at 4 o'clock.
Actually, before I get in trouble with my staff, which is the best staff.
Yeah, she's trying to hide it from the camera.
What my thought is that we have a status conference to find out where we are with respect to warrants. Give the parties more instruction here.
One of the 14th, which is a Tuesday, if that works for the court.
Who do we need to boot? Somebody going crazy in here right now?
I think it
this time?
We can do it at 3.
Okay, so April 14th at 3 p.m.
Just for the record, that works with us and with the victims.
Okay.
People just
So
blow
April
me up.
14th, 3 p.m. Okay. We're going to do a couple of things between now and then. First thing that Mr. Allen's going to do is release.
Oh, somebody sent me information to request.
To Ms. Strobel. Second thing that Mr. Allen is going to have for me, no later than April 14th, is the number on the warrants and where they are. The ones that are here are going to be easier to access than the ones that are in South Carolina. And I want to know what kind of warrants we're talking about in South Carolina, whether it's, I mean, I have no idea.
Oh, it's a thin blue line bracelet, someone says. It's not a Gannon Strong bracelet.
Well, I know that, but I a search of life, so I just need to know that, so I have some idea.
It would have been cooler if it was a Gannon bracelet.
So we'll deal with that on April 14th.
Who? Did you say Matt? No, that's not his name.
How long it's going to take to get these warrants released. And
Did I see Matt? I don't know who.
read on, as I said, I read the PC affidavit. I read on some of this.
I have some pictures of Landon and the family, but I'm really not interested in even really putting those out there. I was a little disgusted that the family didn't get a private entrance in. They should have brought them the same way they took them out. They took them out the back, but I was kind of disgusted that they didn't even, they brought them in. And so the media got to, shove cameras in their face.
I think we're talking about, there's two issues with this report. So when we do our discovery, there will be a section in our discovery that goes to defense that will have every search warrant in it. So they'll have access to that as soon as the discovery book is put together and released to them.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure if the court is asking you.
Yeah, that video is all over. If you want to watch this video, go watch it somewhere else. I'll be talking over this video. I lived it today. I was in that courtroom. I just wanted to more see the visuals, see how she's hiding behind. That's funny because my view of her was a little blocked unless every once in a while the guard would move and I could get a shot of her. I watched her real plainly when she walked in. But you guys can see I'm kind of hidden behind the guard even.
All right.
Yes, I am sitting next to Spencer. We were talking about it. I said, hashtag witness. We gave him a little elbow bump. Spencer was there. I didn't see Ashley. I saw Lori. I think her name's Laura. From Fox 21, she was outside. I got the best spot in the house. Look at my head poke up over the D. I was trying to count people too. There's a lot going on that you're trying to tweet, right? I'm trying to tweet to y'all. I shouldn't have tweeted those since they had a live video in there. I should have just let the tweets roll. Forget the tweeting. Lauren, Fox 21. The camera guy kept trying to move. He's trying to get a better shot of her.
Yes, Judge, I filed a response a couple hours ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that takes care of that because I was going to order a response to be made, so I would get an order out. The response is there, and I would give Mr. Zansberg an opportunity to reply, and then I will deal with that. One of the other things that I wanted to confirm, because it's represented in the motion, that the prosecution does not object to the unsealing of the probable cause affidavit. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, Judge. The status of the motions to seal were based on the investigation during the formulation of that investigation. That issue for us has expired. We don't have that same concern that we had before. So that's why we have an objection.
Okay.
as you're seeing, a lot of this is formality. There's not much being done here. They're making sure they have everything in order.
Okay. I know that there are some members of the press that are here. I hope you'll listen to this.
Listen to this carefully, because you're going to want to know this.
We'll see. The rules in the state of Colorado govern what media access is available during criminal trials. Rule 3A of the Public Access to Information Records Rules, which was promulgated by the Colorado Supreme Court, says there shall be no expanded media coverage of pretrial hearing. There shall be no expanded media coverage of pretrial hearings in criminal cases, except advisements and arraignments. That's where we are. So the next step here, you heard that we had set a date for April 14th. That is not subject to expanded media coverage by rule in this state. The next thing that we may do after that is set it for a proof evident presumption grade hearing. There will be evidence presented at that hearing, but that hearing we cannot allow expanded media coverage by rule in that hearing either. It would be helpful to me and my staff if you didn't file motions requesting expanded media coverage, since they would be summarily denied. We have to read them and issue an order denying them. But it would be helpful if you didn't do that, because by rule, it cannot be granted.
They've already just
I
said.
think that resolves all outstanding matters that I had. Mr. Allen, is there anything else that you wanted the court to address?
Judge, I guess just formally for the record, it sounds like defense is waiving the requirement to have that proof evident presumption grade within the time requirements.
Good point, Ms. Strobel.
Judge, we would just like to reserve our right to prove evident presumption grade at this time.
No, and
We'll wait the 35 days.
Okay, right, okay. As I understand it, I think I didn't interpret your request for delay as a waiver of the hearing. I get it. You got to see what the PC affidavit and perhaps the search warrants have to say before you make a determination about having prepared for proof evident presumption grade. But you're waiving the time requirements related to that. Is that correct? Okay. All right. Is there anything else that we need to address from the prosecution standpoint, Mr. Allen?
Both defense and people filed some motions. Are we going to take those up at the next court setting?
Yeah, we'll take them up at the next court setting, unless there's something immediate that you want me to answer. I mean, if I looked at motions.
No. The family does not know the evidence they have against Tecia.
As far as I know, it's always filed in first-degree murder cases. There wasn't anything specifically directed to a specific fact in this case. It was all reserved notes, reserved evidence, those kinds of things. So if there's something immediate that you want me to address?
Nothing immediate, Judge. I just was making sure that that's what the game plan was.
So we'll deal with it. And I saw that you filed a response. I may issue a order on it. When we get there, just struggle from the defense standpoint, anything that you want to address.
Judge, if the court's going to issue written orders, that's fine. I think everybody's had a chance to bring up their issues. My only concern would be preservation of evidence and testing of evidence that none be completed until the court issues orders. No consumptive testing.
Well, I thought I saw in one of the motions or the responses that you filed that the prosecution's office agreed that there would be no destructive or consumptive testing of evidence until order is entered by the court.
That's exactly right, Judge.
Okay, that's typically the rule. So.
Yeah, there is obviously ongoing testing, forensic testing in this case, but we will stop if there's anything that's going to be consumptive or destructive and seek the court's approval.
And I dealt with those before,
yep.
So I figured that would come up if that were an issue. Anything else?
I got people texting me.
Judge, I just wanted to bring up.
I got people watching. I do want to remind. I want to remind everybody to be respectful in chat. There are people related to this case. There are family members. There are people that are watching Dad with a phone. That just be respectful in chat. These public pretenders are gonna get squashed, is what I can tell you. They're in an uphill battle right now.
So I don't know if the court can.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is, I think what happened was.
The family's going to be privy to a little bit of info, but they're not going to be privy to like hard fact cases, you know, of the case. There, you know, the prosecuting attorney is going to reassure the family that, hey, we have enough evidence, we can get this, you know, we're going to get her. And so for sure the family gets a little bit more info, but as far as the facts and the evidence of the case, they are very, very, very protected. And they're not going to release that to the family, especially since the family has been talking to the media. Because I can guarantee you, law enforcement told the family not to talk to the media except during the media press conference. But, you know, the family will get a little extra, but they're not going to get, they're going to get more reassurances that, hey, we have enough evidence. She ain't getting out of this. I think Scott Reich, the attorney, has put it best. Very seldom are there cases that someone gets out on a loophole. So,
Thank you, Judge.
that's what it is. And it's about like the other homicides that I've had. Well, and I'm sure you've seen it where you're in one division because something gets filed. And then all of a sudden,
I do want to talk about the charges in particular because they filed these murder charges, not that they were premeditated, but that she knew what was happening. That's it. That's all she wrote. My boy, get her. Get on her. See what she's gonna do. You gonna take a swing? You're gonna take no swing. Get on her. Get on her, boy. Sweet. I can't believe I knew the guard. How random is that? Not only know, I mean, I know I spent time at his house. He rode motorcycles with me. Blew out his knee riding a motorcycle with me one time. I had to haul him back. Yeah, Scott has talked about this before. She's not going to get off on like a loophole charge. There's not going to be like, oh, social media ruined it, she's going to get a mistrial. That kind of stuff ain't going to happen with a public pretender. I can tell you that. The public defender is going to do the legal right that they have to do to good. So I'm getting compliments on my political campaign, and people are texting me right now. You were a breath of fresh air. You did awesome. So I got compliments coming in about my forum today. I'm trying to talk about this case. I got so much going, but thank you for joining Dad with the phone right now. We're talking about the Gannon Stauch case. Letecia Stauch was in court today. Dad with the phone was on location. You can go back and see live videos from the courthouse, from in the courthouse. I try to give you kind of an overlay of the courthouse. Couple of things. Video was allowed in the courthouse. Tweeting was allowed in the courtroom. They let a camera in this time, but a camera will not be let in the following up until trial. They'll probably let a camera in the trial, but for the pre-hearing, for the motions hearings, for any other hearings that we go into, they're not going to allow. This was it. You want video of Letecia Stauch, you get it now. You may not get it at trial. You may not get it at trial, but right now you're getting it. And so that's what we saw today. But the judge was real clear. Don't file more media extensions. A couple of things I want to talk about the charges. Golly, my phone won't shut the heck. Yeah. So the judge, cleared up when he's going to let a camera in, when he's not going to let a camera in. And so you may or may not get any more video of in the courtroom. It looks like they're going to allow text and tweets and the reporting from your cell phone as long as it doesn't get disruptive. If it gets disruptive, they're going to kick somebody out. Spencer, don't let your phone go off in the middle of court. His phone went off, and he's like, oh, I'm looking at the guard like, it ain't me. He's an amateur. That's an amateur. He ain't, I'm just kidding. I did call him an amateur. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Family was there. People were there to support. The courtroom did fill up and not everyone got in. So there you go. I got there early. I knew where I wanted to stand and I knew how this was going to go down, where they were going to let, I didn't think they were going to be filling up those seats so much with the DA's office and the family, but they did. I slid in with the press, slid down on the front row, had a front row vantage. And it's hard still, even with good audio in this courtroom, and this is an up-to-date courtroom, it's still hard to hear things going on. So you're trying to hear, you're trying to tweet, you're trying to let you guys know what's happening. I should have just forgot about that because they had a live camera and they're broadcasting live, which kind of negates the reason to tweet. Why not pre-trial, but it's okay for trial? So pre-trial is because during pre-trial, they're going to allow hearsay testimony and evidence. And hearsay is allowed in pre-trial, but may not be allowed in trial. So they don't want hearsay evidence to taint the jury pool by having live video of this evidence. I can tell you right now, they're going to be showing a lot of videos. They got a ton of videos. Quote, Michael Allen, we have a ton of video evidence. What he meant to say is we have hours of video evidence. So they've got hours of video evidence. They're going to have a ton of phone data evidence and phone ping datas and all that stuff. 1,000 pages of discovery, over 107 warrants in other states, multiple law enforcement agencies working on this. So buckle up, kids. Buckle up, because it is not going to go fast. This could take a year. It could take 2 years. So when I tell you that this is the start, so our next court date's not for another month now, longer than a month away. And that court hearing is going to be very similar to this one. They're going to say, where you at? What motions do you got? Are we going to let these warrants out to the public? Are we going to release these to the press? Are we going to release? So lots and lots of stuff to happen in between now and then. There's going to be motions filed from the press to release the police affidavit. He is going to respond to that. And I think they are actually going to release the arrest affidavit. I think that will come by Monday or Tuesday of next week. We might get to peek at the arrest affidavit. It might come sooner than that, but if I kind of heard some back end talk, afterwards, I listened to everything. You can see all the people that were there. I was following news media. So big sign, no cell phone, no cell phone, no cell phone. I hear we can live tweet on somebody from the media. I go into the judicial clerk's office and say, hey, is live tweeting allowed? And they were like, yes, we're going to let live tweets happen. They will not tell you. He did tell us in the court that it was okay, the blogging and the tweeting, and he actually came out and made an announcement. You guys watched it, but I was worried they weren't going to allow live tweeting because of the way the decorum order was written, no use of cell phones at all. So if you got the coronavirus, welcome to the family. Will you let us know how Landon and Al are doing? When I talk with Landon and Al, I'm the only person I've actually talked to is Landon, first of all, as far as between Landon and Al. Of course they are. Everybody's talking shit about me. I could care less about other YouTubers. There are going to be hundreds of YouTubers trying to follow this case. There are going to be hundreds of people trying to keep you up to date with factual information about this case. All I got to say is maybe there was 2 of us there. Maybe. So you can listen to whoever you want to on YouTube. If they start talking crap about me, send me that clip, though. Send me a clip if somebody says something about Dad with the phone, just so I can cut it. I like to hear people talking about me. So if somebody's talking about me, just send me the clip. So was Al there today? Yes, Al was there. The reason you couldn't see him is because of the placement of where the camera was at. and that camera was blocked by the podium, so you couldn't see Al on the front row. What other questions I got? Tom Hanks and wife have the virus. Oh, great. No. For all intensive purposes, it doesn't look like they're Michael's not looking at any sort of deal right now. The way that he said they're not looking for any kind of deal. So it looks like he's looking to go to trial from what he said at the press conference. We could let's bring up the press conference, see if we can pull the press conference up real quick. Because I was at the press conference, but my video is just from my phone right now, so it wasn't the best audio. So let's see what we got from the see if we can find a press conference outside today. Letecia press conference. I'm just trying to pull up the press conference from today. Press conference 3/11/19. Let's see. Oh, 20. It's not 19. El Paso. Michael. Why can't I find this press conference today? Let's see. Does anybody have a link to the press conference? Is y'all putting it in? Does anybody have a link to the press conference from today? Let me see here. KOA had it streamed. Let me go check out KOA's Facebook page real quick. See if I can find it. See if it's on the stream here. Trying to find the press conference from today. Just outside, you can so much news going on with the. Oh, here it is. Bingo, got it. See, I got you covered.
Potential life in prison without parole sentence.
So we'll hear directly from Michael Allen at the press conference today. I was standing there the whole time with him. Let's see here. Prosecutor speaks. I actually asked a couple of questions. I don't know if my questions made it, but we'll see if they cut me out.
Degree, child under 12, position of trust. That count carries a potential life in prison without parole sentence. Count 2 is child abuse resulting in death. That is a class 2 felony. The sentencing range on that is 16 years to 48 years with 5 years of parole. The 2 other charges remaining are tampering with a deceased human body, which is a class 3 felony, and then tampering with physical evidence, which is a class 6 felony.
Can you talk about some of the big points with them today? Obviously, the probable cause was a big discussion.
Yeah, so the probable cause remains sealed, and this investigation is still under investigation and remains active. So the judge took up the issue of whether he was going to unseal the probable cause affidavit to release it to the public. He deferred on that decision and is probably going to issue a written ruling at some point, but I don't want to jump the gun and suggest something that he's maybe not prepared to do. But that's the status of the probable cause at this point.
And he asked if you would oppose that, and you said.
Right. So the purposes, I think I discussed it at the last setting, the purposes for sealing warrants is really to protect the sanctity of an investigation. We feel like we've got the person that we felt was responsible for the crimes. So our issues on the investigative side have expired. That's why we are unopposed or not taking a position on that motion.
You said there was 107 warrants in Colorado alone, and then there's more back in South Carolina. Is that correct?
That's the estimate that I gave, which is 107 warrants that we've had in this case. There were only a few in South Carolina. The vast majority were in our area here.
He's answering me now.
What those are for? I mean, are we talking electronic? You mentioned video.
So I mentioned in the courtroom that there's lots of evidence in this case. I'm not going to get into specifics. I want to reiterate that I'm not going to try this case in the media, so I'm not going to be talking about facts of the case. And again, the charges that we filed are merely allegations, and she is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's something that we take very seriously in our jurisdiction. It's what makes our criminal justice system the best in the world.
Michael, how does that position of prosecutor differ from the typical first-degree murder charge?
So the typical first-degree murder charge, class 1 first-degree murder, is with intent and after deliberation. The charge that we charged her with is unknowingly, so it changes the mental state required to prove that charge.
Can you explain the difference on this?
Yeah, so the typical classic first-degree murder charge that we all hear about
This is good stuff
with
right
intent
here.
and after deliberation. That typically means that somebody was thinking about committing murder and then went forward and did deliberate steps to commit the murder. In this case, it's unknowingly, so just that somebody knew what they were doing.
Can you talk about that number, 107 search warrants, and the volume, and how that speaks to the or how big this case is? You talked about it over 5 weeks is what you've been working on. Will speak to the volume of this case.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to get into the facts, but I can talk about that for a little bit. This case did extend for a long period of time during the investigative phase, and as I said earlier, it's still ongoing. But with 5 weeks of really strong active investigation, it's generated a lot of evidence. Lots of reports, lots of digital evidence, that sort of thing. And I said that's that same sort of stuff in the courtroom.
What's the next question?
So the next step is a status hearing. That's on that next court date, and I'm forgetting what that date is right now off the top of my yeah. And so basically that is just to give a status to the court where we are with discovery obligations. We have 21 days from today to get the discovery out to defense, at least the vast majority of what we can get to them. So that's where we are now. We're trying to compile all that information and get it out to defense.
Why didn't the arrest affidavit get to the defense sooner?
Because it was under seal. So that seal order prevents me from giving it to anybody.
Was the whole of it getting them other discovery in this case, and there's just no obligation until those 21 days are up to deadline?
Yeah, so the discovery rules in Colorado say that we have to give them discovery within 21 days of filing of charges. So that clock starts today. And it's ongoing as the case progresses. We have an ongoing obligation to provide discovery, but that's where that comes from.
Will Letecia Stauch be at that status conference?
Yes, she'll be at every court hearing from this point forward.
Will those search warrants in South Carolina get released? Because I heard the judge say something about that they can't seal those.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay.
Can you
Damn
tell
it.
me what next steps after this?
It wasn't the it actually
So the
wasn't the
next steps
judge
after
who
the
said it
status
was him.
conference will
I
be
should have
we'll
said
get
you said.
proof evident presumption grade and a preliminary hearing scheduled. That will be the first time that we start actually presenting evidence in the courtroom about the investigation itself.
Are you expecting additional charges against Letecia for the alleged assault of a deputy during investigation?
So that incident, really the questions for that incident would go to the sheriff's office. But I also think it's important to keep in mind that it allegedly occurred in Kansas, so the jurisdiction of charging would be in Kansas as well.
Is it too early to talk about potential plea?
Way too early. Yeah, I'm not thinking plea right now. I'm thinking trial.
Could this still be pretty hard to prosecute without body?
I'm never going to say it's easy to prosecute any case. Every case has its challenges, but I think we've got plenty of evidence to go forward.
Listen,
I'm not going to comment on
he
that.
said he wouldn't comment on the
We'll make that
search.
evaluation as we go forward. I have not made that evaluation yet. Obviously, we know that the legislature in the last couple of weeks passed a bill to repeal the death penalty, and I expect that the governor will sign that, so we'll have to evaluate that as well, just the practical implications of evaluating this case for death penalty and the political aspects of what they're doing in Denver.
Do you see necessary aggravators to get there?
I'm not going to get into that right now. That would be getting too close to the facts of the case.
Just for clarification, you said that already there's over 1,000 pages of discovery?
I anticipate that it'll be over 1,000 pages of discovery.
Okay, so that isn't set yet?
No,
Okay.
I don't have any reports in my office yet.
Okay, thank you.
Can you explain to people watching maybe have no idea what the affidavit is, what would be included in that?
So it's a probable cause affidavit just sets out the facts that support an arrest, and it's a probable cause finding that a judge has to make. So when the investigative agency feels like there's enough evidence to support probable cause, they will write up the affidavit, submit it to a judge, and then a judge will make that probable cause finding to support actually issuing an arrest warrant.
But there is information in there about why this person.
There would be information in the probable cause affidavit that would support that, yes.
Let's just do a couple more questions.
Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to bring up?
No, I would just want to reiterate too that if anybody has any information that would potentially be helpful towards the investigation, to report that to the sheriff's office. The tip line is 520-6666. This investigation is ongoing, so any information that people think would be important, get it to the sheriff's office and they'll look into it. Thank you.
So pretty standard, you know, kind of going back over what we already knew from the courtroom. Pretty standard for what we already knew from the courtroom. It's a pretty, this process is going to take time. I think they have plenty of evidence. I don't think that they're going into this with a lack of evidence. I think the public defender's office has got a lot of work to do to defend, because their clients said a lot to the public, said a lot to the cops, talked to the media. So they're going to have to try to pick up these pieces that she's laid out if in fact she's going to plead not guilty. There is a chance she could plead guilty, hoping that her being cooperative in pleading guilty would give her a reduced sentence, but I just don't see that happening. I think she's either going to confess all the way, or she's already confessed enough. We don't know what she said to the police. Even the DA doesn't know what she said to the police. All that evidence, all that stuff. I'm not the DA. Even the defense attorneys don't know what she said to the police because they haven't been given that information yet. So who knows what happened when they sat with her and interrogated her. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do this long, but I'll take a phone call or two. If anybody wants to call in, you can call that number on the screen and give your thoughts, what you thought about today. What would you like? I was going to do a call-in show today, but then my whole schedule went hectic and I had to get out of here because I knew it was going to fill up down there. So if you want to call in, you can call in right now. I'll answer your phone call. You'll be live on the air with Dad with the phone. You can explain to us what you think. Maybe you got a tip or something. Maybe you want to just say something that the family will hear. I can tell you the family is listening. The family is watching. And whether or not they are commenting in the chat room, they are in. They will be watching, so they will hear your wishes. If you want to just say, let them know that you're thinking for them. So, all right, we got from Alabama. You're live with Dad with the phone. Hello. Hello. Well, you got to turn that off so you can talk to me.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Are you a first time caller?
Yes, I am.
So where are you calling from?
I am in Hartsville, Alabama.
Wow.
And it's because of you that I know about this story, and that's why I wanted to just thank you for what you do. Because I know you have a regular job, and I know that you do this just to give back. And I just want you to know how amazing I think you are, and all the time and effort you put into these things, and you're just so genuine about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. All right. Anything? You got any questions?
Yeah, I do. Is it true that the evil witch has black eyes when you look at her?
Well, I don't know.
You're so close to her.
Well, I mean, what did you think from the video?
I saw black eyes.
You know, there's no doubt that she hadn't been sleeping good. She hadn't been having a good night's sleep. So I can tell you that she probably isn't sleeping good. Whether or not she has black eyes because somebody's come after her, I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed she kept looking over to get Al to look at her, but I know that Al and Landon both were just giving her side eyes, not looking straight at her, but she was waiting for Al to look at her, and I'm so glad that he didn't actually turn his head and do it.
He didn't. He didn't. He kept his head pretty straightforward the whole time. So, hey, well, thanks for calling in. I got some other callers trying to get through.
Well, thank you for taking my call.
No problem. Thank you. Keep watching Dad with the phone. We'll talk to you later.
I will. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, you're live with Dad with the phone.
Hi, I'm calling you from Denver. I've been watching you, and I'm glad you're doing this for us.
Hey, will you turn off what you're watching though? Cause
I'm backing away from my computer, honey, because it's in my living room.
oh, I got you.
I just have a question. When she did her TV interview, she stated that the police would let her have a lawyer. Are they going to try to use that against her in court?
No. Listen, when she talked on the TV, I gotta say that I wouldn't believe anything she said. Like, I don't know, when she was going through what she was going through, and she was telling the news this and telling the news that and trying to point some fingers at law enforcement, I would look at that. The cops are not worried. They have protected her rights. They're going to give her a right to a fair trial. And so when she said that on the news, I would be very suspicious of anything that she said like that, because they're going to have video footage. When they were interviewing her, they're going to be cops with body cams. They're going to have video footage of when they were questioning her. I would basically take everything that she has put out of her mouth and put a check mark by it. It could very easily be a lie. So.
And then I have another question
Yep.
for you. How did somebody get off into doing this? I'm a criminal justice student. I'm 6 months away from getting a master's in it. And I would like to see if I can maybe use what I'm a victim of domestic violence, and use what I know about the domestic violence situations and log it like you do.
All you got to do is start. There's no time like the present. So if you got a cell phone or a computer with a web camera, you can do exactly what I'm doing right now. And so I would encourage you to do it. Everybody could have a voice. And so you just got to start. You just have to start doing it. And if you have content or have information that people want to listen to, people will listen. So but you got to start somewhere. You just got to start doing it. So
yes, I got to do it.
Yep. All right. Hey, thanks for calling in. I have a couple other callers trying to get through, so I'm going to see if we can get some more through here. But thank you so much for calling in.
No problem. I hope to see you at the next hearing.
I will be there. All right. We'll talk to you later. Hey, you're live with Dad with the phone.
Hi.
Hey, can you turn your YouTube down so we don't hear the echo?
I did.
Perfect. So where are you calling from? Oh, were you at the hearing today?
I was not.
Oh, you didn't get down there. I got you. So what do you got?
I just wanted to know your thoughts on why they didn't comment on looking for him.
I think because they don't want to give out any information on where they're searching right now. They did the big search up there that they allowed the media to see them doing. And right now, since they have made an arrest, there's a few things. One, they may have information on the story of where Gannon is at, even if they don't have Gannon. And they don't want to give any information out about locations because they don't want the media to swarm them. I have it on. The last I heard, they were still searching. And so for him to say no comment tells me that they just don't want search locations and or that information kind of getting out right now. So that's the quickest and easiest way to answer a question that you don't want to really answer, and that is just to say no comment. I do not think. I think if they find Gannon, we are going to get some sort of update that they have found Gannon. That seems like it would be not only the logical thing, it just seems like it would be the smart thing to do with the community, so people would quit worrying, people would quit calling in tips and stuff. But I think they are still searching for Gannon. They are still wanting to find Gannon, and they're still actively asking for tips. If you feel like you have a tip that is credible, they are asking for those tips to be called into the tip line. So I think that they're still searching. I just don't think they want people, crowding those search areas. I think they are very small, precise searches. So
please tell Landon and Al that my thoughts and prayers are with them every day.
Absolutely. I actually texted Landon while we were on this live just now during one of the videos to let her know that we're all praying for her, that we've been praying for her all day. So I will continue to communicate with Landon that the world is praying with her and thinking of her and Al and the family. So we will make sure to relay those messages.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Hey, you're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hi.
Who am I talking to?
This is Eugenia, but I'm Jabri B in the actual comment section.
I got you.
I am calling from Hoover, Alabama.
What are you thinking about tonight?
So my question for you would be centered around the fact, do you think that someone actually gave them information concerning Letecia in this case, or do you think it was just good old-fashioned police work that caused them to get to this point for her to be arrested and to be going through this process?
I think both. I think they have some real accurate tips that have come in, whether that be from the family, whether that be from someone with Landon. I think that they actually have some really good information that came in via tips. And then on top of that, I think that they have been actively investigating this and working with the evidence that they have with evidence that they collected maybe from tips. So I think a little bit of both. I think someone actually has some sort of story or some sort of account that they have recounted to the police, and that the police took that story or the recount or something, that little bit of information, and then they begin to match that up with video evidence, with evidence. It could be very well that Letecia said something that led them to something. So it could still be that good old-fashioned police work. It could be that she said something that tipped them off, but I also think that there could be some witnesses involved in this that we haven't heard about specifically, but we will find out as this thing unfolds.
Yeah, perfect answer. I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking my call, and I'm so happy that YouTube recommended you on my page so that I can actually follow you. And it's been brilliant, and I've been appreciating the information that you've been putting out. So keep up the good work. You're doing a good thing.
Thank you so much. Well, you too, and I'm sure I'll talk to you again. If you have any more questions, you can always call me.
All right. Well, take care.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you. Hey, you're live with Dad with a Phone right now.
Hi, this is Joanne Hayden. I'm calling you from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
I really appreciate what you're doing. You're very informative. And my heart is just breaking for this little boy's family. I was just wondering if you know anything about the stepmother's daughter. If I'm sure she knows something or suspects something.
Yeah, the fact that the fact that Harley, the stepmom's daughter, has kind of like vanished, not in a sense of do I think she disappeared, but the fact that she has gone quiet on the radar, and the fact that there's very little information coming out from that particular family, because we know that she was brought into the public eye on that interview. So we know that Harley was around the house, was around the situation. had some sort of knowledge, has spoken with police officers. The fact that we know that, it does kind of lend itself to say maybe she has said something, maybe she has talked to the cops. I don't want to speculate that I'm 100% sure on that, but because we have seen her kind of vanish in a sense of nobody knows where she's at, she's not, as far as talking to people, talking to media, I have to believe that she's going to play a part, or statements that she has made are going to be a part of the evidence. I don't know if she came out and like told on her mom, or just simply speaking with investigators. See, she probably was interviewed by herself without her mom. And so, yeah. And so with that, you got to believe that she knows something, but if in fact that's the truth, they are going to guard her tightly. They are going to guard her as a witness. They are going to guard her testimony tightly. And we may hear about that in the pretrial, because in the pretrial, we're not going to hear from witnesses. The only time witnesses are going to show up outside of law enforcement witnesses, the only time actual witnesses will have to show up is at trial. But we can hear from law enforcement who have taken statements, and that's why they can put that into the pretrial, because that's actually hearsay. The officer says, so-and-so told me this, right? Well, we're going to be able to hear those statements from law enforcement in the pretrial. They're going to have to present that evidence. And at some point, if there are witnesses involved, that's going to come out in the pretrial when they start dropping the evidence in the actual courtroom, where it then becomes kind of public record because they're saying it in front of the judge. So right now, I would say keep the speculation to a minimum. It's okay to ask the questions. Do we think Harley has something to do with this? Do we think Harley is maybe a witness? Do we think she talked to the police? I think all of those things could be true. We just have to be careful. We don't want to point fingers, because it could be from somebody totally different as well. So.
Right. No, I don't think she had anything to do with it, but I think she possibly knows something.
Yeah, I think she probably has an idea. Yeah. Yeah, she's going to be able to make statements like, my mom made me say that, or, different things like that. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Well, like I said, I'm calling from Louisville, Kentucky, and every day I get on the internet and I look to see if there's any information, and just God bless, the family, and know that my heart is breaking for them, and I pray they find that baby.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're praying with you. Well, thank you for the call tonight.
Well, thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you. Lots of people calling in tonight. We'll keep taking calls. It looks like I've had calls from Canada. Looks like I missed a call from, this one's coming in from Gainesville, Florida. You're live with Dad with the Phone. Hello?
Hello?
You're live.
Hey, it's Cindy from Gainesville, Florida. I just wanted to let you know I appreciate you being the real news now.
The real news?
Yes, real news. Can't trust that fake news anymore.
It is hard. I can tell you though, building a relationship with some of these local media people, and I was cracking jokes with them in the hallway today. These guys are trying to do their best to bring information. A lot of times they only get 90 seconds. And so when they only get 90 seconds, they can only give you so much. But thank you so much for the kind words.
Absolutely. And, even though they only have so much, there's so much disinformation out there these days that I only get my news from YouTube now. So I really appreciate you doing a great job. Love seeing you in the courtroom, and love and prayers to the family of Gannon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye-bye. You're live with Dad with the Phone.
Hey.
Uh-oh, we got a male listener. I don't get male listeners very often.
Oh, I'm watching every minute of that.
Well, tell me what you're thinking.
I'm Steve. I'm from Ohio.
Okay.
I can tell you one thing. She was down here in this courtroom. You know, if that was my kid, the sole protector and all that, we don't believe that down here. Never seen that before.
What do you mean?
She's getting like special treatment.
Oh, you mean where the guard's standing with her and stuff?
Yeah, I never seen that before. I mean, maybe with Ted Bundy. We're not even talking about Ted Bundy, but.
Well, you know, proportionately, that might be because of her actions. You know, my buddy that was sitting there guarding her, I haven't talked to him. I'm gonna try to talk to him, but I don't want to put him in a weird position. But proportionately, when people and I tried to explain this to the people out in the hallway, everybody was wearing Gannon shirts and stuff, and really showing support for Gannon today, and it was awesome. But and the court didn't do it, but I can tell you that it could come down to where they don't allow you to even wear Gannon shirts in the courtroom. That's not because people don't want to support the family. It's because in that courtroom, it has to be level playing field for her. She can be as guilty as sin. She can be the issue. But up until that time, when that jury gets a chance to render their verdict, they have to protect her. If someone were to jump the aisle and attack Letecia, it's only going to be good for her. It's only going to be good for her. It's not going to be good for the case. It's not going to be good for the family.
Well, I mean, as a parent myself.
Oh no, I know.
As a parent myself, I'm gonna give it a hell of a try. I'm gonna dive on it.
No, and there have been men that have done that in actual trials and stuff, and that's why those officers are there. Those officers don't. I promise you, that officer protecting her, that's a dad. I know his kids. I know his wife. That's a dad. That guy right there, you know, if you were to meet, if this would have been a twisted time 5 years ago and you were to meet him in a back alleyway, that guy protecting Letecia would have been the first one to swing. And so I know that for a fact because I know him, his family. So the guys that are protecting her, they're doing their job because of this great system we have. Now, as a father, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
See, what it's going to come down to is jurisdiction. She's going to say, I'm not going to get a fair trial. I want to move this out of state. I see it coming.
Well, the problem, yeah. Well, the problem is with that is, you know, yes, that could happen. Yes, they could say we want to move jurisdictions, and I can talk about that a little bit and how that looks here.
Yeah, but she's got probably defenders. She really ain't got no rights as far as I'm concerned.
No, and the public defender isn't going to do it.
She's in Ohio. She's going to sink in the toilet here.
No doubt, and she may find herself in a toilet in El Paso County. So,
I mean, but you don't get no worse than killing a kid. That's the worst thing you do.
Absolutely. Listen, up until a few, just a year ago in the El Paso County Jail, some of the guards had like a little game going where they got indicted. These guards got indicted. But if she thinks she's protected because she is in jail, up until a year ago, the guards had a game going where they would try to beat inmates and they had this little point system going, and this is in the jail she's in. So yeah, I hope that doesn't happen because I want her to get a fair trial. I want the judge to render a life sentence without parole, plus some time, and I think he will. I think if the DA is able to try this case here, it'll work.
You guys did away with that death penalty out there, so.
Yeah, we did do it. They are trying to repeal the death penalty. It hasn't been done yet. It is on the table, but
yeah, but they said she got it and they can amend it.
Yeah, they can. And I think they're not really going to use the death penalty as a bargaining tool because Colorado just doesn't kill people. It just doesn't have a history of it as far as in the death penalty.
You guys just too nice out there.
Well, all the politicians are smoking weed.
Yeah, but on Ohio we don't play it out here.
No, I understand.
They're so special So
No.
I'm looking from, my view, what I'm seeing. You see what I'm saying?
No, I see you, and there's. Go ahead.
No, she's not smiling.
She ain't smiling, and I don't think we're gonna see smiles from her.
No, she's stressed out. She's worried. The gig's up. She knows the gig's up.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
appreciate what you're doing, man.
Hey man, thanks for giving me a call. For real, I don't get a lot of male callers and male followers. So when you call in, I like it. So thanks, man.
I'm so mad at that case. Jeez.
Well, don't break the TV.
No, I ain't gonna do all that.
All right.
It's got me boiling.
All right, man. Well,
You know what I mean?
I understand. So, hey, well, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Yep.
All right. Hey, you're live with Dad with a phone.
Hey, T-Wop. This is Lori from Iowa.
What do you got tonight, Lori?
Well, I am a grandma and a mother of 6 with I raised 2 stepkids from 2 and 4, and they are adults now with 5 of my grandchildren. I can't imagine this moment and what his parents are going through. The reason why I had my stepkids was their mom was a mess and an alcoholic, and I love them. They're mine, and I can't understand.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's hard to understand evil like this.
Right now, one of my grandbabies is my son should have justice involved. Her mom had a positive meth care test a few weeks ago, and I go to work at 4 in the morning, so I drive by, and it's like how do you explain this? There's service going on there. I mean, it's traffic. Like, so the guy she had arrested, and the gal was a meth head. Now she's got a meth head and a cokehead, so I'm worried about my 3-year-old granddaughter, but I have a 6 and a 9-year-old myself, plus adult children. So right now, DHS is trying to get her in my care, and I just couldn't ever imagine what Landon and Al are going through, because if I lost my grandkids or maybe it's just so sad, and I'm so thankful that you're there and can relay all this to them and let them know that there's lots of us out there praying for them and prayed for Gannon to be found sooner.
No, they definitely continue to keep them in your prayers. That's the thing is right now, like what Landon and Al are going through isn't something that a lot of people have even the experience to be able to understand or been in that situation. And so the best we can do is keep them in our thoughts and our prayers. And I know that they hear them. I know that they're watching. I know that they're listening. And so they hear them for sure.
If they need anything, I have tons of, I can donate money, but I also can send some things. I have tons of things that my kids don't need for the girls. And would be happy to send gift cards or, whatever they need.
Yeah, when it comes, I would say if you're going to send stuff, you can send it to, I'll put an address up on the screen. Like if you just want to send a card, I think that even just a card to say, we're thinking about you. And even if you can't send money or if you want to send a gift card, any of that stuff, you can send it to that address that's on the screen. That will go to the church, but I know that the church is getting all those cards and they're seeing those cards. And I know that Landon takes those and yeah. And so, even if you just sit down and write a letter, and it may not be a letter that they read tomorrow, it may not be something that you even know that they got, but they'll get it. And I can tell you, this next year is not going to slow down. It's not going to become easier for them because they are going to live through this trial. And so if you just want to take a moment just to write a letter to tell Gannon or to tell Landon and Al how much you're thinking about them and praying for them, I know that they will get those letters and it will mean something to them. And so even if you can't give money and it's just simply a letter of a prayer. So.
No, I just lost my
No worries.
I've been up since 2:30 for work, and I'm in Iowa. But I lost my dad at 9. I can't imagine losing a child. You know, it's just, and to have your spouse do it, that betrayal, and someone that they both trusted, and I just can't imagine. So I really don't. I want to write something, but I don't want to offend them. So if I could send it to you, that's.
You know, I don't want to be I'm not a mediator between the family, you know, and so I would say, if you know, take your time and just encourage them. Let them know that you're thinking about them, even if it's just a card to let them know, hey, I'm here in Iowa and I'm thinking about you. I know that means something to them, and those prayers and those thoughts mean something. And the same thing, something that they can go back years later and just read the kind words of the people that walked through this with them. It will mean something. So you don't have to, but if that's something you want to do, that's a way to do it. And so it is something that, like, for me, I think about it and I go, you know, if I was a parent in this situation, and you know, I was broken and I was hurt and I'm in my house and I'm trying to deal with all this, and all of a sudden letters from people all over the world showed up, and all those letter words were just words of encouragement. Mom, you're not alone. You don't have to go through this alone. We're praying for you. We're thinking about you. And
I'm tired of people making them out like they could have done this or that. This is something that they could ever imagine.
Yeah, anyone who's victimizing Landon and are you know, going after Landon and Al, just turn it off. There's a lot of shit on the internet. There's a lot of crap on the internet, and people will try to speculate into victimizing, or you know, making Landon and them try to say that they're part of the problem. Just don't even entertain it. Just don't even entertain it right now. So is the only thing I can tell you when it comes to that. So
because I went back, my granddaughter's mom took off with her about 2.5 years ago, and I flew out to Nevada or Las Vegas and drove down to Kingman, Arizona, and drove all through Colorado, your area, and it's beautiful. And there's so many areas. I just hope they find him for them.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for calling in.
Yeah, thanks for all you do. I'm one of your biggest fans. I don't think you know it.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, we'll talk to you later.
Tell Mom with the tablet hi.
All right. I'll tell her hello for you. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you. Keep up what you're doing.
All right. Hey, you're live with Dad with the phone.
Hey there, how's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, first time caller.
Okay, where are you calling from?
Calling from Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Nice. Up in the Great White North.
Yep. Pretty white still with lots of snow.
What are your thoughts tonight?
Well, I saw you on at the courthouse. You look good.
Well, I was looking good at the courthouse, huh? Well, good.
Yeah. And I was just kind of wondering, like, how are Al and Landon getting along? Are they able to lean on each other for support?
You know, I don't know. I can't speculate. I'm not going to try to speculate on their relationship or what's going on in that family right now. That family is in a tough position. Now, I can tell you at the courthouse, they're sitting next to each other. They're holding hands. They're, embracing with each other. I can tell you what I saw today. You know, they were sitting next to each other, holding hands, embracing each other. They're there for each other, you know. And so, but I as far as their actual, day-to-day life, it's not even really my place to even speculate and stuff. So.
Yeah, I know when I was watching it being televised, I wasn't sure if they were sitting together or he was sitting a row back.
No, he was sitting right next to her. I know in the video you guys don't see him very much because he's kind of behind the podium. But no, they were sitting right next to each other. You know, and like I said, they walked in together. I don't think they were holding hands when they walked in, because it was they had to kind of shoot through a gauntlet of people. But I did look over at one point, and I know they were holding hands. And so, you know, I would assume that at this moment, they are just trying to keep themselves sane, and trying to control their thoughts, trying to control what they're allowing to come in and out of their minds. So we can just continue to pray, and you know, whether or not it's our place, I always pray for restoration within families. And so, you know, if God can restore that relationship, and God can restore that family with Tecia, or with Landon and Al, that would be my prayer. Now, that's not any of my business, but I just always pray for restoration in families. And so I would continue to just pray for the restoration of the family, and whatever that looks like, however that plays out. So
Yeah, no, it's good though that they can lean on each other now, because they need each other.
they're definitely going to need each other. They're definitely gonna. This is going to be an incredibly tough year for them, and it's not. And like I said, I say it's a tough year. It's just going to be tough. It'd be tough on any of us, and so we just need to keep them in our prayers and our thoughts. And they know, and the more they know, they watch, and the more people verbalize it, the more people continue to talk about Gannon and talk about his story. They hear those things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as they say, he will not be forgotten. What time did you have to get to the courthouse at today?
I got to the courthouse I got there about 2 hours before. I got up on the courtroom floor, up on the courtroom where it was happening, about an hour and 45 minutes before. And so, you know, a lot of people speculated that there would be thousands of people there. There wasn't. It was pretty normal as far as the regular court day. There's actually more people there than I expected. But not like overwhelmingly. I think only a few people couldn't get in the courtroom, and so they don't let anyone stand in the courtroom. So it's sitting room only, and it's first come, first served. That includes media. Some of the media didn't make it into the courtroom. Some of the media didn't go into the courtroom to allow room for the public. The family is always going to have room. They are going to let the family enter the courtroom always first. And so then the seats will fill up with either media or with public. And then there's the DA's office. There's law enforcement that can go in there and sit down. And so I do think that, like, the pretrial hearing, I don't expect the next hearing to be any more of a larger. I don't expect it to be any larger turnout than today. I do expect the pre-trial hearing to be the largest turnout before trial. If it ends up going to trial, obviously people will come to the trial, but that's going to be probably a 2-week or 3-week long process. And so it's every day. Yeah, it's every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And so very few people can do that on a regular basis. And so it will be, you know, the numbers will dwindle, but then during trial, I think there'll be a steady stream of just different people coming down for it.
One last question. I noticed today when Letecia was in the box, and I don't remember or know the blonde lady's name that was sitting beside her, but they seem to be talking an awful lot. Is that normal?
Yeah, that's her attorney. So that attorney is going to be like, she's going to be explaining to her what's happening. She's part of that defense team. And so, you know, the attorneys are there to protect as well. That's why she went and put herself in between the camera and Tecia. That's their job, is to protect that defendant. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of communication. She's going to be explaining what's happening. She's going to be explaining what's going down. So that's what was kind of going on there.
Okay, well, I'll let you go because I'm sure there's other people.
Yeah, I got a caller coming in right now, but
Thanks for answering my question.
no problem. Thank you for calling.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye-bye. We got a no caller ID on.
No.
Where you calling from?
From Canada. How are you, D-Wop?
How are you doing?
Hang on here. There we go. Sorry about that. Listen, I just wanted to ask a question from you. What do you think of the DA?
I think next to Dan May, he's the sharpest tool in the shed.
Not Dan May, the
Michael Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think next to Dan May, he is the sharpest guy there right now. Now, I can tell you that he is running for office, so he's running for Dan May's spot. And word on the street is he's going to be the next DA, so the next head DA. I will tell you that there's a lot of pressure on him in this case. There's a lot of pressure on him not to mess it up, not to get, to make sure his ducks are in a row. So, this case is not any different than any other murder case, except the world is watching, right? There are murder cases that come through that courthouse every day. There are high violent assault cases. There are child abuse cases. But this case is always going to have eyes on it. And so the pressure on him, we're about to find out. We're about to find out if he can stand the pressure, because he will be under the microscope. Everything he does will be under the microscope. But right now, he still has, Dan May to fall back on. If there needs to be.
Dan May will be in the background then, but basically he'll be doing.
Yeah, Dan May's going to follow this case, but he's not going to. I don't expect Dan May to be as involved as he was in the Patrick Frazee case.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find out. I just wanted to find out if this Michael guy is as hard nosed as Dan May comes across as, or if he's a little bit weaker in the knees, I guess you could say. I don't know.
No, I think as far as the DA's office goes, you got the second best guy right now. Obviously, Dan May's been there the longest, but Dan May's, he doesn't really try cases anymore. He wasn't even the head DA in the Patrick Frazee case. He was just really involved in it. And so there has been speculation on how much Dan May will get involved in this case. I don't see him getting involved as much because this guy's running for Dan May's office. Now, Dan May is out. He's not running against Dan May. Dan May's term is up. He's retiring. So Michael Allen is going to be, he's the next sharpest tool in the shed right now. The other guy that's running against Michael Allen isn't even in he's a private lawyer, I think. So I don't think he's even in the DA's office right now. Where Michael Allen is inside the DA's office already, and he's going to handle. I mean, he's going to be scrutinized, but he's got this, and I don't think they're going into this thing as. No, and I don't think that, a lot of people say, oh, well, they don't have a body. They don't have a body. They don't have, it's going to be hard. Yeah, they have evidence. They have evidence. And at this point, their evidence is pointing them in a very specific direction, and that direction is Tecia Stauch, and they're going to go after her with everything they have, the full weight of the DA's office. Nobody's going to, if they need extra help processing, discovery, videos, all that stuff, they're going to get every bit of help they need. So.
Okay. That was just something I was wondering. Now, I've followed you since the beginning, even Woodland Underground. Now, I wanted to find out, I wanted to say to the family,
You there?
I'm here. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is.
But I want Al
No, I understand.
I know there was a statement made that he feels responsible for bringing that woman into his inner circle, so on and so forth. But how do you know? You don't know. You don't know what the person sitting beside you is going to do. You know what I mean? Or what people are capable of. And we see that now. Like, I mean, is she wicked? Beyond wicked. There's no... I mean, I could pull every name out of the dirty book that I'd love to call her, but I can't. You know what I mean?
No, and I know that they'll hear that, and it'll mean something, because you know, that's got to be every parent's nightmare, is that you bring someone into your family, you trust your kids with them, and then something like this happens. I can't even begin to fathom it. Yeah, I can't either. So,
you know, and it's ironic because when my husband passed away, it was like my kids kept saying, golden date, you know, it's been X amount of, and I never bothered. It's not for not wanting to or whatever, but it was the fact that, do I want to bring somebody in around my children? And now after this, no, there's not a chance. There's just, no, it's not going to happen. But I don't want Al to blame himself, and I want that family to know that the world is praying for them and embracing them, and we love them.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks for calling tonight, and thanks for that encouragement. I know that they will hear it, and they will it will bless them.
Okay, you take care, bud, and you keep going, and hopefully you'll be on the underground later and tell us what happened today at City Council, because I'm dying to hear it.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. So, all right. Well, thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, you take care, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Whew. Hey, thanks for joining Dad with a Phone tonight. Should I take one more? Should I take one more call? What do y'all say? Take one more call? Oklahoma's calling. I'll take one because they've called a couple of times. Hey, you're live with Dad with a Phone.
Hey, it's Becca.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. So I have a couple of questions, but first I just want to speak of Landon and Al's strength. I could not imagine, I hope I never have to know what it feels like to sit in the same room with someone who harmed your child and see their strength it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. There is something there that is, I think that you get an extra chamber of it somehow. Somehow, if you lose a child or you're put in this situation, the only way I can, because I can't understand where my control would come from. Like, I don't know how I'd be able to control my emotions. I don't know how I'd be able to control myself in that situation. So the only way I can look at it is when you're put in these situations, you are given something extra. The universe gives you something extra. God gives you something extra, whatever you believe, that you're not going to face something that you're not going to be given the strength to face. And it's evident in this situation. The internal turmoil they got to be going through, it's got to be crazy. But the strength that I see in Landon and the strength that I see in Al, that comes from a special place. And so we continue to just pray for that strength and that to be there. We want that to be there for them. And although I'm sure they are going to have nights that they bawl themselves to sleep, the fact that they know that the world is with them and the world is praying with them, the world is feeling their pain as much as we can understand it. I know that people feel pain for Gannon. I know that people feel emotion for Gannon. And so that's something to be said for the people that are supporting and the people that are praying for them. But yeah, the strength that they have is very unmatchable right now.
Right. I think their strength shows a lot toward their love for Gannon, their want for justice. If they didn't contain themselves the way that they are, it could hinder justice being served. I mean, if Landon was to like jump up in the taxi, obviously that's going to hinder the investigation, hinder the court process. And I think that the strength that they have, like I said, is showing the amount of love that they had for their son, that they have for their son.
No, I understand. It's a crazy deal when you start thinking about the emotions that the family has to go through, and that they have to continue to relive, and they're going to continue to feel that pain every court hearing, every court date, every day that they look and see Letecia's face in a press paper or online. Even these situations where we're talking about them, right? We're talking about people we don't really know. We're talking about people very few of us have actually met or talked to. And so, but I know that the strength and the spirit of the love that is headed their way from people, it reaches them. I know that they feel it. And so that's all we can continue to do.
Right. And so I did have a couple of questions. One, you said that you've talked to T's family. In your opinion, do you think that T's family is supporting her?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Not one bit. Not anyone that I talked to, even on T's side of the family, did I feel like they were trying to defend or support her. They may understand, they may want to show love for their family member, but they're not defending or nobody was there today,
Right.
and so I don't see that. I don't see anybody jumping up and doing that, but I don't know either where part of you wants to say, well, T, you made your bed and you can lie in it, and nobody's gonna support you, and you're done. You're all alone except for those public defenders, and fortunately it's justified, right? It's a justifiable feeling to feel that way. On the flip side, Tisha's a person, and we don't know the situation. We know portions. We know that she lied a bunch. We know that she told stories a bunch. So it makes it harder for people to have compassion for her. And but the flip side is, we all know what it is to feel alone. And that could be one of the scariest feelings anyone could ever have. And right now, as we're talking, as we're at our homes, as I'm sitting here in my living room and I'm talking to you, there is this sense of we are together, right? Even though we might not be together, we're together. My family is here. My kids are here. You may have people in your home right now that you're with, but she doesn't have that. She's sitting in a concrete block cell down in Colorado Springs, and for all intensive purposes, the rest of her life will be lived in concrete walls, people telling you when to go to the restroom, when you're going to eat, what you can eat, all this stuff. For all intensive purposes, if things continue to go in the way we want justice. We hope that the DA's got evidence. We hope that they can, without a doubt, bring justice in this case. She is going to spend the rest of her life in a box, and that box, and that will never bring back Gannon. So there will be a portion of us that will never feel like justice was ever really served because Gannon was never brought home safe, alive, and able to live his life. But that is a very special place to be for Tecia. She is going to have to make decisions in her life right now that will affect her even when she's in a box. And it's not an easy place to be a Tecia right now. I can promise you that.
Right, and that kind of made me think about Al. This is a person that he loved with all of his heart. And how do you just go from, even though the things that she's done that we allege she's done or think she's done, how do you just go from loving someone with all of your heart and giving them everything that you have to hating them? I just don't think that's possible. I think there still has to be some part of him that, like I said, this is somebody that he loved. So, and even with her family, the same thing. Like,
no, yeah, I mean,
you know, I just don't know how you would process that, or how you would.
You would have to compartmentalize, and the only way you would get to the point where you could understand or continue, I think, to feel a love or to feel affection towards Tecia would be you would have to literally compartmentalize Gannon, which means you would have to place Gannon out of the equation, right? And so I can sit here and I can have compassion for Tecia and what she's going through, but the only way I can do that is if I remove Gannon out of the equation, right? It's the same thing with other cases. Like I looked at Patrick Frazee when I first saw him in court, and I went to this trial, was looking at him, looking at this, you know, and I was like, this is a dad, right? This is a dad. And all, for all intensive purposes, people told the story that this guy was a good dad to his kid. And, you know, he took care of his daughter. But for what he did to Kelsey Barrett, the only way you're ever going to have compassion on him and think he's anything other than a monster is to be able to compartmentalize Kelsey out of the equation. And that's something you and I can do because Gannon wasn't. This is how the psychos come out on YouTube, is they compartmentalize Gannon out of the equation and they try to have some sort of compassion for Tecia. I don't think it's deserved. I don't think she deserves that. I think that, you know, you reap what you sow in life. And if it doesn't matter where you stand, like nobody likes people messing with children. You don't mess with kids. You don't kill kids. You don't abuse kids. You don't do this. This is These are helpless, in some cases, helpless children. And so you reap what you sow. And so in this life or the next, and she's going to reap it in this life if she is brought to justice and has to serve 100 years in prison. And there's a possibility that she will reap consequences of her actions after life. So, you know, it's hard because, you know, there is always a possibility. There is always a chance, but that's what we pray and hope, that the DA has removed all possibility. Like we pray that the DA, that there is no reasonable doubt that she didn't do it. Yeah, and I do too. So that's what we hope, that the government and the justice that is going to be brought to her is fair. I hope that she has a fair trial. I hope that she has a fair representation in the courtroom. But I also hope that justice is served. And we hope and pray that Michael Allen is able to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt, you know. And so it's up to them to do it, and they have to do that. And the defense can sit back and see what happens. It's a tough situation. It is. It's tough for Al because, like you said, the woman he loved. And so it's got to be heartbreaking. But it's a crazy situation.
So I just have one more question, and it's an easy one. So in what process of the whole court process, when does she plead? Because I haven't been through the whole court process.
That'll be, you know, it'll be after they have the evidence. So what people don't understand is she's been charged today, but her team hasn't even seen the arrest affidavit. So they know the charges, but they don't even know the evidence that the prosecutors have to bring those charges. So until they get a formal look and a reading, and until they can sit down and look through the charges, look through the arrest affidavit, and actually look through all those search warrants, because you have two things playing out. One, did Tecia do this? And then two, did the cops go through the legal process to collect evidence? And so that's that search warrant stuff. But that arrest affidavit, a judge has seen that. A judge has said there's enough evidence on that arrest report to make an arrest, to issue a warrant for her arrest. She's not going. That's why they like people like they asked her today in this arraignment, like they're asking them, well, are you all ready? And the defense has to say, we haven't even seen anything. How could you even ask us if we're ready? And so we have to let the due process play. And where that's going to happen is, so this next hearing is what we call a status hearing. It's almost like a made-up hearing. It's like we need to add something extra to see if we got all our ducks in a row. So at that status hearing, we're basically going to see them say, yes, we got the discovery. Yes, we got the search warrants. Yes, we got the arrest affidavit. Now they're going to say, okay, now I have time to go over this with my client, to talk to her about her options, and then we'll begin to see that happen. That plea could come. It actually could come. It can come all the way up until trial. Like at this point, she's presumed innocent, and they're moving forward as if she's innocent, as far as the defense team is concerned. And they're not going to be a hasty for her, like to say, I plead not guilty. For her to actually come back and say, I plead not guilty, or I plead guilty by reason of insanity, or I plead guilty by reason of it was an accident. Something happened. It was an accident. And then I tried to cover it up. And then I buried myself in this, these web of lies. But this whole thing was an accident. There's 100 defenses that they could come forward with. And so they're not going to make that plea until they have all the evidence in front of them. And then we'll get some sort of hearing, whether it be after motions, before pre-trial. There'll be another hearing where she actually makes the plea of, I'm not guilty, let's go to trial, kind of thing.
Right.
So,
right. Is it typical for them to have so many search warrants in a case?
I was trying to think how many search warrants. I think they had like 27. I could be misquoting this, but I think they had like 27 or 30 in the Patrick Frazee case. You got to remember, there's going to be search warrants for everything, all the way down to the budget rental car information, right? So they're gonna have a search warrant for the budget rental car. And just because they write a search warrant doesn't mean it's executed. We also saw that in the Patrick Frazee case, where they wrote a bunch of search warrants and a couple of them were never actually executed. And so they're going to execute search warrants to social media. They're going to execute search warrants for phone records, and all of those things have to be very specific. They had search warrants for, obviously, location, homes, different areas that may be protected, whether it be private properties that they were going to search. So just because they wrote 107 search warrants doesn't mean they're going to execute all those. And they may not send it to T-Mobile, or they may not send it to the internet provider or the social media people. So
they're just there in case.
Yeah, they will write search warrants for anything that they think is even possible, right? They're going to write search warrants if she went to Petco and bought stuff. We want to get search warrants for all of those videotapes. We want to get search warrants for what she bought, the receipts, credit card information. So, 107, as you start adding them up, it seems like a lot. And there's actually 107 was the minimal. He was like, this is yeah, he said it could be more than that, plus the ones back in South Carolina. So I don't know, because I don't think I have enough cases like where I have paid attention to that to go, oh yeah, 107 is a lot. Or, there could be other cases that have 500 search warrants issued. So.
Right. Okay. So I don't want to hold you up, but I do have one more thing.
Go for it.
It's not a question, really. Okay. So they were talking about the DNA and like the testing, and I don't remember what they called it now, but I know I didn't know what they were talking about.
Okay.
Maybe a lot of other people don't.
Yeah. So consumptive testing, is that what you heard?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So here's what I'll do. Hey, thanks for calling, and I'm going to end this with answering your questions. So I'll end live, but thanks for calling tonight.
Yes, thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you. Bye-bye. All right. I'm turning my phone off. I'm not taking any more phone calls. Thank you, guys. But let me talk about consumptive testing, because I do have a little bit of experience in this, because we dealt with this in the Patrick Frazee case. So they have a lot of physical evidence is what it sounds like. It sounds like they got a lot of forensic evidence. There's a lot of evidence that they are testing. They did say that they are testing evidence. So there is evidence being tested. Now, what they were talking about with consumptive testing, let's say you had this snot rag right here, right? And my snot rag, okay, my virus mask, right? And let's say that this virus mask had blood on it, and the blood was just this little bitty corner. There's a little bitty blood right here, right? And so we're going to take this and we're going to cut this up into a few different pieces, and we're going to save one piece for like backup testing. We're going to save another piece for some other testing, but then we're going to test this. If the evidence that they have is so small that when they test it, it's going to be consumed, destroyed, it's going to disappear, which means if something went wrong during testing, then they wouldn't be able to retest, right? If they can't retest something, it's because it got consumed or it got destroyed during the testing. If the testing process itself is going to destroy a piece of evidence and or consume all the evidence they have, what they have to do before they do that is they have to go before the court. And they have to tell the court, we're going to test this. It's called consumptive. We're going to test this, but when we get done testing it, there's not going to be anything left to test. Most of the times there's like 5 samples, right? Sample A, B, and C get put in storage, and we test samples D and E. And if D and E match, then the defense can say, okay, I want to have an independent test of sample A done. So then they pull sample A. Well, if they don't have any samples put away, or they don't have enough evidence put away, and they're going to test a piece of evidence, and that evidence is going to disappear, be destroyed with the testing, the forensic testing, they call that consumptive testing. And if they get to that point, what they were saying today is they got a lot of evidence they're testing. They're doing a lot of forensic tests. They have a lot of evidence out at the CBI lab. They have a lot of evidence going into testing. If any little bit of that evidence they believe will be consumed or destroyed, they have to stop what they're doing, and they will have to schedule a court hearing, and they will have to have a discussion about that testing. What happens in consumptive testing a lot of times is the defense will say, we want our expert there to watch the consumptive testing because we want to make sure it's done right. We want to make sure that there's no contaminants happening. So when they get to a piece of consumptive evidence, something that they're going to consume in the testing, and it's not going to be there anymore, right? The results will be here, but if you question those results, there's no way back. There's no way to go back and retest something. At this point, it doesn't seem like there's anything that they're going to consume. In the Kelsey Barrett case, they had a fragment of a tooth that they wanted to test. They had little sections of blood that they wanted to test, little bitty things that they wanted to test. And in that testing, it was going to be consumed, right? And so they had to have these hearings about doing that consumptive testing. And that was first of all, it can be very confusing because people don't understand what consumptive testing sometimes means. But then on top of that, just understanding that it could be such a small fragment of evidence they're testing, if it is going to be destroyed or is no longer going to be able to take another test of it, like a backup test. They'll have to have some sort of hearing on that. What I understood today, though, they have a lot of evidence out for testing. At this moment, they don't have anything that they feel like is going to be consumed or damaged or destroyed, and they will have like extra samples. So if they're testing this rag for blood, they'll have sections of it cut up, stored in proper evidence, and that way if they had to go back and retest something. So I hope that answers your questions. Hey, this has been an awesome live. We've gone for 2 hours tonight. Y'all got 2 hours out of me when I only promised 1. Thanks for all the callers who called in. As always, you can find me at the links right here at the bottom of the screen. Dad with the Phone, TikTok, Michael E. Dalton on Twitter, Facebook. At the very bottom of the screen is my personal PayPal bucket. If you want to put a little change in the bucket, if you've been entertained over the last 2 hours and you're like, hey, I didn't watch Netflix today, and you want to give me some of your Netflix dollars because I entertained you and you want me to continue to do that, you can do that at that PayPal link at the bottom. Don't feel obligated. A couple of other ways you can help Dad with the Phone if you just want to help and you don't want to give me any money, and you can go to my Facebook page, which is Facebook/Dad with the Phone. It's a page. On that page, there'll be a section where you can click on a review and you can give me a review right on Facebook. So if you're on YouTube, you need to subscribe and hit notifications. If you're on Facebook, I would love for you to go over to my Facebook page and give me a review. It means a lot to me. It doesn't cost you anything. If you want to throw some change in the bucket, feel free to do that. Somebody throw me some coffee money today. Somebody's thrown me some gas money. Different things like that have happened today just since court. So if you want to be a part of that, you can be a part of it that way. No obligation. I'm not trying to raise money or anything like that. It's simply an opportunity for you to give. Thanks for watching Dad with the Phone. It's awesome. We're going to continue to follow this case. Like I said, there are a lot of imitators out there. There are a lot of YouTubers out there. There are a lot of counterfeit creators. Very few of them will be in the courtroom when stuff goes down. Very few of them are going to be as close to this case. Very few of them have the insight that I'm going to have in this case. And I hope you've learned something. I hope you've been entertained. And I hope you keep watching Dad with the Phone. It was fun. We'll talk to you guys later.